please call the roll.
Ms. Bowes,
Here.
Ms. Evans,
Here.
Ms. Farmer,
Here.
Ms. Grover,
Here.
Dr. King,
Here.
Mr. Pluta,
Here.
Ms. Santos,
Here.
Mr. Van Hise. Mr. Van Hise is absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you.
You can do D. The open public meeting statement is not a problem.
Yes.
Okay. Announcement of notice, open public meeting statement. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. As required under law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided via email and/or fax to the Times, the Lawrence Ledger, the Public Library, and has been filed with the municipal clerk. This notice was provided prior to 48 hours required by the Open Public Meetings Act. The board reserves the right to limit public discussion of personnel items and other matters as defined in the law. And with that, we'll have our flag salute. First and foremost, I'd like to welcome the candidates that are here before us this evening. There are a couple of announcements and adjustments to the agenda that I'd like to share. Okay, just to give you an idea. Okay. As you noticed, there was no executive session this evening. There will be no representation of students' report. There also will be no reports to the board this evening by committee. And L, which is board discussion, will now become board discussion and action items. N, board discussion and action items, will be now work, board discussion and work items. And that is where we will begin to conduct the interviews under N. After the public input and before new business, we will have our executive session. And that is where we will have the opportunity to deliberate. And then we will continue with the agenda as is, new business under P and Q for adjournment. With that, we'd now like to move to if there are any recognition or acknowledgements.
Yes, I wanted to acknowledge that October is National School Principal Month. I know that we have two outstanding ones in the back, but I want to thank all of our principals. And I want to thank our other principals who are also outstanding that are not here tonight, our assistant principals, our supervisors. They're truly a dedicated, professional, outstanding group of educators, and I feel very fortunate to be working with them. I also wanted to take a moment to thank Eshaya for his work on the website, if you have not seen it. I often look at the website before I fall asleep, and there seems to be changes every single night. So it's a work in progress, but it is so much easier to navigate and really well done. So thank you for your work on that, Eshaya.
Yes.
And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Kasun. And now for the adoption of minutes. Do we have a motion on the floor?
So moved. Second.
Okay, with a motion and a second, if we could please call the roll.
Ms. Bose,
Yes.
Ms. Evans,
Yes.
Ms. Groger,
Yes.
Dr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Pluta,
Yes.
Ms. Santos,
Yes.
Ms. Farmer,
Yes,
motion carried.
thank you. Okay. As I stated, there are no reports to the board this evening. Those committee reports will be at our next meeting, which is
19.
October 19th, next Wednesday. And with that, do we have any review of communications?
No.
Okay. Moving right along, this is now the first opportunity for public input. If anyone would like to give some input, you would need to come to the podium, state your name, your address, and keep it to 3 minutes. Okay. Seeing none, we will move now to our first item, board discussion and action on the agenda. Okay. Dr. Kasun, is there a superintendent's report this evening?
I will hold mine to leave more time for the interviews.
Okay, thank you. Board secretary, is there a report?
No, Madam President.
Okay. I would like to make my president's report, and it's basically want to take this opportunity to thank the candidates for showing up tonight and for your interest in serving on the Lawrence Township School Board. Our board is a representation of diverse individuals, former teachers, alumni, parents, educators, advocates, lawyers, musicians, entrepreneurs, mental health professionals. We have been elected from a broad representation of Lawrence Township. We represent different neighborhoods in Lawrenceville, such as Main Street, Eggerts Crossing, Eldridge Park, Slackwood, Colonial Lakelands, and South Lawrence. We are a nicely gelled group of passionate volunteers who want the best for our students, teachers, staff, and administration. We are committed to providing transparency, current, and innovative ideas for our district. We are a body of 9. Independently, we have no power. Together as a union, yes, with differences of opinions, we challenge ourselves to always do what is best in the interests of our students. You will often hear, we do not run the schools. We are a policy-making body that works with the administration and more specifically with the superintendent, who is our only employee, our one and only employee. So thank you for your interest in joining our team, and on behalf of my fellow board members, we welcome you and look forward to your answers to our questions. And when we do get to that section, I think we're good. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We look forward to hearing from you. Okay. Now with that, we have Personnel Committee. There are items to be moved.
Okay, you'll find on tonight's agenda 2 resignations, adjustments of hours, approval for several substitute teachers, confirmed appointments for staff and substitutes due to clearance of background checks, EDP positions, student technicians, sustainable representatives, before and after school destination teachers and subs, appointing Eagles teachers and subs, and student lifeguards. You'll also see a resolution for a job description change and a transfer. With that, I'd like to move P1 through P37.
Second.
Okay, well, okay, thank you. With a motion and a second, if we could please call the roll, Mr. Eldridge.
I'm sorry, that was Dr. King. Were you the second?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Bose,
Yes. That was Michelle.
Ms. Evans,
Yes.
Ms. Grover,
Yes.
Dr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Pluta,
Yes.
Ms. Santos,
Yes.
Ms. Farmer.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. And with that, we'll move now to CIAPD. there are items for approval.
Yep, I would like to make a motion to move forward IS-1 through IS-12.
Second.
With a motion and a second, if you could please call the roll.
Ms. Bowes?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Grover?
Yes.
Dr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Pluta?
Yes.
Ms. Santos?
Yes.
Ms. Farmer?
Yes,
Your motion carried.
thank you. Next on the agenda is Finance Committee report. We have items for,
Finance is just standard fire drills and some new transportation routes. I'd like to move SBM 1 through 10.
Second.
okay, with a motion and a second, if you would please call the roll.
Ms. Bowes?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Grover?
Yes.
Dr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Pluta?
Yes.
Ms. Santos?
Yes.
Ms. Farmer?
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. This brings us to our second opportunity for public input. Once again, if you're interested in making any comments, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and keep it to 3 minutes. Okay, seeing none, this brings us to the next portion of our meeting, which is board discussion and work items. Is that correct, Mr. Eldridge?
Yes, this is the point in time in the agenda where we're doing the work items, which are tonight slotted for the interviews.
Okay, so with that, all of the candidates have received in advance the 2 questions that we will be asking tonight. Just want to go over some of the ground rules. You will be given 3 minutes for an introduction, and there will be 2 minutes to answer each question thereafter. We will be selecting names randomly from my nice little bag here. Everyone's name is in here, and Dr. Kasun has done us the honor of, he will be selecting the names. We will read the names 1 through 9. That is the order that we will keep for both the introduction and also for the order of answering questions. Are there any questions or concerns at this time? Is it clear for everyone? Okay, so let us begin. Oh, Heather?
So are we going to read our responses to 2 and 3 questions 1 and 2 in a row, or will you rotate in between?
We will rotate. We will do all of questions 1, and then we will do all of questions 2. Thank you.
Thanks, Heather.
All right. Yes, and you will be coming up to the podium here, so if you want to get closer, once your order is listed. Okay, thank you very much. And, obviously, in the introduction, you will give us your name.
Drum roll, please.
Okay, so just want to show, all in fairness, the names that are here. Anybody needs to witness it? We'll go very quickly if someone.
You don't want me doing this. I think it's good.
It's like a lottery. And the first name is,
Marlene. Lucky number 1.
number 1. Sorry, remember that? Hold on, we're going to pick everyone.
Oh,
All
we'll
at
pick them
once.
all?
Yeah. That way you,
All right.
Why don't you just stay here?
yeah, but you can stay there.
Joyce is second. Third is Arundel. Diana is fourth. Carlos is fifth. Drew is sixth. Mark is seventh. Heather, you're eighth. And then, last but not least,
We did this right?
we have Jeffrey.
Okay. I'll repeat the order, just so you know. Is there anyone that is not here? Well, that doesn't make sense. That would be kind of hard. Everyone heard their name, is that correct? Okay. So I'll just repeat them once again. I'll go by first name, sorry. Marlene, number 1. Joyce, number 2. Arundel, number 3. Diana, number 4. Carlos, number 5. Drew, number 6. Mark, number 7. Heather, number 8. And Jeffrey, number 9. Okay. All right. So we will have our first candidate, who is Marlene. And I'll put the timer on. I'm going to switch these. It came so fast. For this. Yep.
Ask Eshaya to do that.
Oh, we adjust. Okay.
Start is right.
Oh, I forgot that part. Yeah, we will have the clock.
Okay.
Just to add, I'm going to read the questions just so that everyone in the audience is familiar, as well as our listening audience on Zoom. Okay. We would, as I said, first listing your name. One other thing we're interested also is knowing, have you attended any board meetings in the last year? Thank you. Either in person or virtually. And here are the question. Here's the first question. The board has recently completed a strategic plan. What do you see as the primary strength of the school board and our greatest challenge? Oh, wait, I'm sorry, do your intro
I'm
first.
starting with the intro.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
I'm moving very quickly.
And then are we going right into the questions? Okay. Just the first
Actually, you know what?
Just,
We'll do a round of just the intros.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. My name is Marlene Hushke, and I have lived in Lawrence Township since 1973. I have 2 children who have gone all the way through the district schools, K through 12, one of which was a special needs student. While my kids were here, I served as president of Slackwood School PTO, recording secretary of LAS PTO, and president of ASK, which was Advocates for Special Kids, a Lawrence-based special education parent group. I have also served on the mayor's task force for substance abuse and the state advisory board for HIV education. Professionally, I am a retiree from South Brunswick Board of Education as a health and phys ed teacher after 38 years of service. While I was there, I coached field hockey, girls basketball, girls track, and gymnastics. I served as a class advisor, a Red Cross and Badminton Club advisor. I am most proud of creating a student leadership course for credit known as High Tops, which stands for Health Interested Teen Zone Program on Sexuality, which is now in over 50 schools statewide and is known as Teen PEP in other schools. The program was developed in collaboration with High Tops Princeton and the Princeton Center for Leadership Training, and it became the statewide model in the 50 schools that it now exists in. I also developed a health and wellness program for overweight teens, known as TEEN. Sometimes it's hard to come up with an acronym. It stands for Teens Eating, Exercise, and Nutrition. which partnered with a counselor and parents to help students achieve a healthier weight and lifestyle. My educational background is from Trenton State, now the College of New Jersey. I have a BS in health, physical education, recreation, driver education, and secondary school English. And my master's degree is in school counseling. I want to say it's great to be here, and I want to thank everyone for their time and consideration. And I've attended a few board meetings, but it's been virtual.
Thank you, Marlene.
You're welcome.
Okay, next is Joyce. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me. My name is Joyce Scott. I am a previous board member. I was on the board from 2015 to December 2021. I am from Lawrence Township. I was moved to Lawrence Township in 1969. 2 children graduated from Lawrence. I graduated from Lawrence. My son also took advantage of the Mercer County Vocational Technical School, and he is now working on his bachelor's for engineering. I'm also employed at the New Jersey State Department of Education. I've been there for 38 years. Right now I'm in the Office of Comprehensive Services. I was in pupil transportation. I started out with regional day schools, and hopefully I have 1 more year in the Department of Education, and then I will be stepping down from there. I'm also on the executive board for CWA Local 1033, and I'm also the chief shop steward for CWA Local 1033. And that is my history.
Thank you. And just your attendance of board meetings over the last year.
I attended board meetings, yes. I'm on virtual, yes.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
I think I remember you.
Oh, you do?
I think so. Okay, next is Arundel. I feel bad saying just the first name. Just like that, I feel.
Good evening. For those I have not had the pleasure of meeting yet, I'm Arundel Clark. My wife and I have been residents of Lawrence for a little over a decade and a half now, and we have 2 children who are growing up with this community as well. From work to community, the one trait that I utilize in everything that I do is build bridges. My primary occupation is a software engineer, and one of my challenging tasks is documenting in a way where multiple groups who use the same nomenclature but have completely different meanings in what they say all understand what is being discussed in my notation. Similarly, as an active participant in the parents group of the Special Education Parents Advisory Group, CPAG, and Black Education Advancement Council, BEAC, I'm part of both the special needs community and a family of color. In both groups, I work with others to help clarify why there are cases where specific needs must be addressed to provide equity and inclusion for a denomination of people. I'm also a Special Olympics coach and EMT, where I not only get to interact and support with the community, but utilize the time to spend with my family as well, since my son is part of many of the teams that I coach. My past experiences include, but are not limited to, being a computer and gym instructor for grades preschool to 6th grade and a camp counselor. There are more functions that I do that I will mention within some of my other responses tonight, but the key point of all of them include community, and that is team-based. I work well with others, I plan for the worst, and I hope for the best. Tonight, I am hoping to appease the board my responses with the goal of becoming a board member myself. And yes, I've attended board meetings virtually online.
Thank you. And now is Diana.
Good evening. I'm Diana Pasquoli. Thank you, President Farmer and the board, for your time this evening. 8 years ago, my husband and I moved to Lawrence community because of the diversity of that community and because of the quality of and the focus on the public education in this town. Luckily and proudly, my daughter is now in Lawrence Elementary, and I have a son in Lawrence Intermediate School. And for those reasons and many others, it's just an amazing opportunity to stand before you with the chance of joining you on the board. I started my career as a public middle school teacher in the Bronx, New York City, and then in Newark, New Jersey. After becoming an attorney, I joined the New Jersey Department of Education because Joyce was there and for some other reasons. And I've been there for 10 years now. And there I've served many different roles on many different topics with a deep understanding of state law and policy as well as federal laws and policies. And I've contributed to issues from everything ranging from teacher certification to student standards, assessments, and I'm proud right now to be working on a project that is aiming to increase the mental health supports in schools across the state. I've based my career on the philosophy that with a lot of hard work, a great deal of collaboration, and incremental changes, we can ensure that all students receive the educational services and resources and opportunities that they need and that they deserve to thrive in school and beyond. And based on the strategic plan and the many incredible actions and leadership of this community, I feel very confident that if I could join the board, I would be surrounded by people who are very focused on ensuring the same things for the students of Lawrence. So thank you so much for your consideration. I have been able, and thank you for the virtual options. That's been amazing. I can join and attend trampoline class with my son. So thank you very much, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay. And next is Carlos.
I'm a student, and I moved to Lawrence approximately 9 or 8 years ago. Although this vacancy arises under unfortunate circumstances, I'm happy that this opportunity has arisen, allowing me the opportunity to join without unnecessarily jeopardizing the seats of amazing board members. The truth is, I know this board's policies well. I know it because I lived it. I'm running because although I'm a fan of the board's strategic plan, as it aligns with the 4 pillars of my campaign well, that being security, opportunity, transparency, and mindfulness, I still believe we share a problem in common. As a recent graduate, I can tell you that there are some missed opportunities that simply arise because of differences in generation. Generational differences and a lack of perspective from all stakeholders, including the voice of a student. I've come to learn that many citizens are concerned about the metrics used to measure the success and outcomes of your well-thought-out strategic plan. And I want to be the resources that closes these gaps in communication. I have had the pleasure of meeting many Lawrence citizens, going out in front of them every day. That's where I spend most of my time. Aside from school, I go out and I make myself available to citizens of Lawrence, and I talk to them. I make sure that they know what's going on with the school board. And I support a lot of the policies, and I defend the policies that this board has established for the school district and the students because I know it's for the best. However, I do believe that my voice could offer you some insight that would and it would just be minor adjustments, that can help make the school an optimal place for students, that can empower students, that can empower teachers, that can empower the community. I believe that that is what I offer this board. Furthermore, I have had the pleasure of attending many board meetings in this past year, and every time has been very interesting and very enlightening, and I appreciate you giving me your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is Drew, and you all are doing fantastic with time. We appreciate it.
This is our new.
Yeah.
This is the new
We're
one.
adopting this clock for every meeting.
It's a big clock.
Yeah.
For those of us that need.
You can't run over with it.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Ross
Still need
jinxed
human.
me. He said I was doing well. Okay.
Go.
Whenever you're ready. I'm Drew Greenspan. I feel lucky to be going after so many qualified people. I hope you guys figure out a way to take everybody in and use everybody to your benefit. My history. I have a 15-year career in finance where I worked in the private sector. I learned how to work with people in groups and collaboratively. I shifted away from that and pivoted towards education. I'm currently a teacher. I'm an educator. I have a master's in elementary education from the College of New Jersey. And I'm taking this year to get a specialization in one of the special needs communities so I can bring that into my teaching as well. I guess I learned when I was in finance and teaching that the best way to work and be efficient is to listen to people. I'm not much of a speaker. I can get up on a soapbox and talk about a lot of things, but I like to listen and work in a group. It's the only way I really ever found that you can get anything done with a diverse group of people. And that's what I view us having in Lawrence. So the only way to get anything done in a very polarized climate right now is to listen and try and succeed together. And that's what I intend to do.
Thank you. Okay. Next is Mark.
Hello.
Hello.
Just one moment, I'm sorry.
Let me get that clock right. I won't take that long, though.
It's okay, I don't want you to miss out on your time.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Mark Elliott. I'm a business owner in Lawrence Township. I've been a financial advisor, a financial planner for 25 years. And what that means is I basically come up with a financial plan to get people to their goals, so to simplify it that way. I grew up and went through the public school system in Princeton since 3rd grade up to graduation, and then my daughters went to the Hopewell school system, went through the public schools there. And I used to live in Ewing. Sounds like a lot of moving, but I'm pretty old. And we actually moved into the district because we wanted to be here. And my son is just graduated from Lawrenceville Elementary, and is now in the intermediate school. And I think the bottom line is I truly believe in what the public school system can do for people. I think it's important, and I think in the world that we live in, I think that we have to give people as many opportunities as possible to realize their higher self in some ways. And I think that this mechanism of public education helps people do that. When it comes to the board meetings, you probably have seen me before, the bearded guy on the left. I've been to every meeting except one, I think, over the last year. And it's not because I didn't ever intend to do this. I mean, my intention wasn't to be on the board. It's just because I'm interested. I care about my son, I care about my kids, I care about all the kids. I mean, it's important stuff that goes on here. And even the wonky presentations you guys sometimes have here, I sit through it because I'm interested. It's interesting to me. I like all these details. So that's who I am, and thanks for listening to me. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Heather.
Next is Heather.
Good evening. Before beginning, I want to thank the board for inviting us to come and speak, and for all of you tuning in to learn more, those of you here and online. You clearly have a lot of options tonight, and I wish you the best of luck. My name is Heather Camp, and I've lived here in Lawrence for nearly 10 years with my husband, Harpreet, raising our 2 kids, Jaden, 10, and Samira, 8. I have loved my time in Lawrence. We have fantastic neighbors, access to trails and nature, and a diverse community setting. In terms of my background, I have a master's in social work from Columbia University and a bachelor's degree from Calvin College in Michigan, also in social work. For over 20 years, I have worked in higher education and nonprofits, most recently as the Director of Community Engaged Learning at the College of New Jersey, and prior to that at Princeton University. The nonprofit positions I've held through the years have addressed issues such as youth education, homelessness, domestic violence, and global development. I have also sat on several boards and served as the Vice President for the LES PTO, coached for Lawrence Hamnet, and sat on several nonprofit committees and youth planning boards in Trenton. These experiences have also brought me to many trainings on topics such as racial reconciliation, sexual assault, various topics of diversity, Title IX, etc. Many of them I listed in my letter. These past few years have presented our district with some intense challenges, such as the pandemic and the push for equitable approaches to education. Both of these issues have significantly impacted LTPS. And while Lawrence has taken some significant steps forward, the demands are ever present. I believe my background has given me the exposure and expertise needed to play a viable role on the school board. I've written, reviewed, and managed grants and budgets, sat on several collaborative planning boards, and built partnerships with local nonprofits that are addressing the very social issues that LTPS has grappled with as of late. It would be an honor to serve on the board. As many of you know, this is not my first time coming before you, but I recognize that you have some wonderful options tonight, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next is Jeff.
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
First, thank you for considering my application to join you in serving the students of Lawrence Township. My name is Jeff Johnson, and I have lived in Lawrence Township since 2006 in Society Hill. I've worked in Lawrence since 2003 in the Research and Development Division at ETS. I have one child who went through Lawrence schools from kindergarten through graduation and is now thriving as a freshman at Rutgers. I have a second child who is a freshman at Lawrence High this year. I've attended 2 recent board meetings right here in the auditorium. In my work life, I'm a certified project management professional, or PMP, and also a certified Scrum Master, or CSM. For those of you who aren't aware, Scrum is an approach to project management that focuses on iterative development and driving real-time constructive interaction among team members in the service of tangible results. Since I sent you my application some weeks ago, I also received word that I passed the exam to be a certified professional in accessibility core competencies, which is offered by the International Association of Accessibility Professionals. I use these credentials to serve as a strategic analyst in R&D at ETS. My education is in journalism, in which I have a bachelor's degree, and applied linguistics, in which I have a master's degree. And my formative earlier career experience was as an instructor of adult English as a second language students. I started off my career at ETS developing workplace English assessments for adults. The last bit of biographical information I'd like to share before we move to the questions phase is that I'm not new to public service. I have served on the Lawrence Township Zoning Board of Adjustment since 2016. I know what it's like to volunteer at least one evening per month, sometimes a very long evening, doing uncompensated but critical public service. I am well aware that I will rarely be thanked. I do it anyway because I believe it is vital to the civic health of good communities like Lawrence that people step up to serve. This is a personal value that I will bring to the Board of Education if you select me. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, back to the beginning. Okay. You're doing great on time. Okay. Okay. We will start with Marlene, the first question. The board has recently completed a strategic plan. What do you see as the primary strength of the board and our greatest challenge?
So, based on my review of the strategic plan, what I see as one of the greatest strengths is that it's a working document and that the board is willing to grow and adapt, as the years go by and as we see what works and what doesn't work. The other thing that I see as a strength is the willingness to include parents, students, and the community in the feedback process. I think that's critical. The other thing I see is that you've already put various initiatives in place in order to reach some of these goals of the strategic plan, and to me that shows a commitment to the student wellness, the achievement and equity pieces in the strategic plan. And as Ms. Farmer said in the beginning, it happened to be something I already had in here, but I'll reiterate it because members of the board represent different factions of the community, and each one brings their own unique talents, abilities, and backgrounds to various board committees and policy development, and I see that as a real strength of the board.
Okay.
Now, as far as challenges, one of the pieces of the strategic plan that really kind of stuck out for me was the use of the word all. As in all students will be reading at grade 3 or all students will be prepared for 8th grade algebra. And as a teacher for 38 years, I certainly wanted every kid in my class to be able to achieve, a certain level. But that in itself is the challenge, how do we get there? And as the superintendent say, I had to laugh, it's your goal to bring 100% of the students back from a field trip.
Oh, look at that.
Is that a fire drill?
Time is up.
Time is it?
It's the timer somewhere.
I didn't know we were getting a little bomb.
But I'm not sorry about that.
Yeah. Now we know. That's the sound we don't want to hear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
It goes fast, the 2 minutes.
Okay. Next is Joyce.
Joyce.
Joyce Scott. Yeah, I know.
Sorry about that. I didn't realize that was what was going to happen.
Take them all. I don't even. I have my list.
Okay, the primary strength is student achievement. I feel that Lawrence Township students have come a long way since we've been out for 2 years with the COVID and bringing them up, trying to bring them up to speed. My challenges are emotional and psychological challenges of COVID, which still remains. And my other challenge is having staff diversity that represents our student diversity. That is a real challenge.
Thank you. Next, we will have Arundel Clark.
A primary strength of the school board is having an intentional and meaningful push towards equality and equity weaved out throughout the entire aspect of the plan. Growing up at a time, I was one of a handful of families of color first to enter my hometown in high school. I may have been allowed to have a quote-unquote equal opportunity, but it didn't mean I had an equitable opportunity, means of reaching those opportunities. In some cases, I had to learn how to work around the system to get past certain obstacles. In other cases, if I didn't have the resources or information needed, then, well, that was just too bad for me. I'd be lying if I claimed that that experience didn't give me a pessimistic outlook on the way most systems would operate going forward. Unfortunately, systematically, my conclusions were not unmerited. What I did not foresee were places trying to undo this on some level. The strategic plan ambitious goals presents itself as a template for other districts to model off of. Simply stating a process is revised to today's standards, whether through policy or announcement, does not commit to any meaningful action or change. Being intentional through communication with various groups, the acknowledgement of the school body as individuals who may have specific needs instead of units that complement a category, open to constructive criticism as a means to see when improvement can be made. Change is more important than just a statement. The greatest challenge to the school board is maintaining that momentum while implementing change and producing tangible results that help maintain confidence and trust among all those affected by the strategic direction we are going. It's absolutely important that the benchmarks can be measured, but it's the perception of culture, atmosphere, and the results for the families that are on the forefront. Staff morale is important too, and we have everyone since.
Okay.
Just a bad guy.
Thank you.
So sorry.
And, okay, and next is Diana Pasculi. Did I say that right? Okay, I can do this. He's doing the camera.
Thank you. As I mentioned before, I truly am impressed with the strategic plan. The fact that it focuses first and foremost on student health and wellness, and then moves to goals that are research-driven and evidence-based as being key levers to early reading and math, and also the individualized, targeted focus, I think is excellent, and I really stand behind it, and I'm excited for my children and all the children at Lawrence. I'm particularly dedicated to the work that we've done in the equity committees over the last few years, and feel excited that the plan honors the diverse needs of our students, while also really is continuing and acknowledging that we still need to work on diversifying our staff here in Lawrence. So I appreciate those things, and I believe that the challenges, and the other amazing strength is that we emerged out of one of the most difficult years in education with a collective forward vision. And I applaud all of you and the leadership, and felt that I had been given opportunities to weigh in, and I really appreciate that. I think some of the difficulties that lie ahead are the same as school boards across the nation. It is a divisive time. It is a time of misinformation and disinformation, and continuing to hold honest, transparent dialogue and engaged conversations where people can be passionate of their views but still drive forward to meet students' needs is just going to be difficult. But I do believe that with the vision and with our history in our community of having difficult conversations but moving forward, we can achieve those aims. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Carlos Rodriguez.
So first and foremost, I have to say that I commend the board's push to engage in the minority communities, the historically disadvantaged and disenfranchised communities of Lawrence Township. I think it's a very commendable goal. There's talk of engaging in the communities of Lawrence, but I think one of the key aspects of leadership is ownership, and to make sure that the leadership has people that represent the diversity of the schools. And I think that that's actually where it should start. It should start with having members that reflect the school, that reflect the community. And other than that, that's it for me. Yeah.
Thank you. Next is Drew Greenspan.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I like the fact that it's honest and it lives in reality. I agree with what a lot of other people said so far. 2 pieces stuck out the most as important. 2 bullet points. All students and staff feel that they belong. All staff are appreciated and valued as professionals. Not just some, not just white males, kind of everybody. The fact that it says all was important to me because that's the hopeful part of it, and it implies maybe people don't feel like they belong. Maybe staff don't feel like they're appreciated. So the fact that we put this out there in the conversation and the vision is there to work on these things, that's wonderful. This was a nonpartisan feeling vision for this community, and that's wonderful. The fact that we can do that is amazing. The fact that we can have, like some others said, the difficult conversation, that's great as well. That to me is the challenge, though. How do we actually do these things? How do we actually make these people feel like they belong? And by these people, I mean everyone. How do we make everyone feel that they belong? So having the courage to stick with it in the face of spaces where it's hard to do that nowadays, that'll be the challenge. I'm hopeful that with the people in this room and the 9 people that are running, maybe we can find a way. And I think that's all I have.
Thank you. Next is Mark Elliott.
Hello again. When it comes to the strengths and challenges, I think that, first of all, the different backgrounds is definitely strength, everyone coming from different places and viewpoints. But I think that the strength and the challenge is kind of related to what I was saying before, and they're interconnected, is that you guys have the ability to create policy that can have tremendous effect on each one of these kids. And that's a weakness too, a challenge, I should say, maybe not a weakness, but it's a challenge too, because how do you stay on your game when it comes to that? How do we really create policy that can help untapped abilities become tapped? That's hard. It's hard with the amount of students we have, and how do we do that with as many students as possible? So yeah, 1 more minute. So let me go into the strategic plan. I love the strategic plan. I was in part of that parent Zoom meeting, kind of where we broke into little groups and everything. Unfortunately, the person who spoke for our group didn't mention about 3/4 of our conversation, which I think was, I would like to add, I wish there was more focus on critical thinking being the hallmark of that plan. Because I think that we're at a point where adults, graduates of college, can't critically think properly. I know that sounds very critical, but I think that even from the beginning age, kindergarten, all the way up, we can implement based, age-appropriate ways of learning how to think critically about information, evaluate it, and research, and in good research. And that takes a lot of work. It takes years and years to do that, and that's what we can do. And so that's just my little tweak, I would say, to the strategic plan. But thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Heather Camp.
All right, in terms of your strengths, I think the board has a number of seasoned members who have years of experience, and I believe you have worked hard as of late to respond to the voice of the community. Being a community member, that really is important to me. The new strategic plan is one such example of this, and the plan engages and responds to some of the issues the community has presented to the schools and the board itself in numerous meetings. I love that it states its aspirations and then breaks those aspirations down into goals which are easy for people to read and understand. You took a weakness, I think, of the board and are starting to present it as a strength. That being said, I think some of the goals are ambitious given the current state of LTPS. As you all know, the board sets the policies and curriculum for the district, while the school administration, staff, and teachers are charged with actually implementing them. Looking beyond those procedural differences, the district will need to implement some major overhauls to achieve these goals and reallocate its budget, which goes back to, I think, the use of the word all and the language of the strategic plan. For example, the student achievement goals may require smaller class sizes, additional training, or more teachers with special education degrees given the breadth of educational needs in our district. As another example, to have the staff diversity mirror student diversity is ideal and something I desire. However, at present, there is minimal diversity amongst our teachers, and this will need to change significantly for the goal to be achieved. It will take some creative recruitment practices to move the needle and coordination between the board and the administration of LTPS in order to accomplish that goal. Thank you.
Thank you. And next is Jeffrey Johnson.
Your first question refers to the board's strategic plan, and you asked, what do you see as the primary strength of the school board and our greatest challenge? I reviewed the plan on the district website at ltps.org/strategic plan. The design of the plan shines a light on what I believe is the board's core strength: goal orientation. This board has the ability to describe an aspirational, big picture vision, as it is done on page 1 of the plan, and then ground it in clear, understandable, concrete metrics on page 2 for how we will know that this vision is being achieved. I appreciate especially that this vision considers the whole student, not only students' academic achievement, but also their well-being and their inclusion in a large, diverse community. Here's what I see as the greatest challenge facing this and actually just about every school district in the United States right now. As I look at the 8 goals you've laid out on page 2, I can't think of a single one that hasn't been somehow disrupted by the pandemic. The temptation everywhere may be strong to scale back, to set less ambitious goals, while the truth is that we need ambitious goals more than ever to drive education forward for the good of community and civic life. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving right along. Question number 2, if Marlene could begin to walk towards the microphone for the audience. Serving on the board requires a time commitment that consists of committee meetings, mandatory training, monthly and special evening meetings. Tell us why you are running and how you will contribute to the goals of the board. And I just want to add a little tidbit. Most of the work that we do is done not on this platform here. So I just wanted to give that background.
This is one of the benefits of being retired. I finally have the time to be able to devote to something I've always had an interest in, my whole life has been devoted to, which is education. And I believe as a retired educator that I can give a unique understanding and perspective of education through my experience in curriculum and program development and contribute to Lawrence Township achieving its goals and objectives in the strategic plan. The other piece of it is, as a parent of a special needs child and a grandparent of a child with autism, I think that allows me to address the equity and inclusion piece of the strategic plan, and I would be most interested in providing input that would help that population achieve that sense of belonging in the school community that is so critical to their success and becoming part of that all that we talk about in the strategic plan that all students will be able to achieve. And I made it with 49
Thank you.
seconds. Thank you very much.
Okay. Next is Joyce Scott. You're good. I'll repeat the question?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Serving on the board requires a time commitment that consists of committee meetings, mandatory training, and monthly and special evening meetings. Tell us why you are running and how you will contribute to the goals of the board.
Okay. Based on that, I was on the board for a period of time. As you read my my resume or my application, I said I would step in if chosen on a temporary basis. I would not run for a 3-year term. I could hit the ground running. I was involved with finances and facilities, community relations, legislative affairs, equity, and I also was the liaison for Mercer County technical schools. So that is why I'm just stepping in. But again, it's temporary. I'm not doing the 3 years again, just temporary.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Arundel Clark.
I've had the opportunity to be proactive through collaboration with various groups and attend informative meetings within the school district. I've been considering running for the board for some time, but it was the engagement from parents of children of the district, parents of former students, and a few people outside the district based on the reflections of me that has moved me to take this opportunity presented to me today. Where if selected, I can show that I am the right pick and not just say I am. As a person voted into shared leadership before, I was nominated and voted in because people had trust in me, just as people have trust in me to step up now. I believe listening is just as equally important as getting information across clearly, working in collaboration so that together we are able to make well-informed decisions no matter the difficulty. I do have meaningful thoughts and ideas, in addition to other gifts and skills I have to offer. As an EMT, I've been trained to be conscious to curb my emotions and personal bias to the best of my ability, to use training and protocol to focus on the task at hand. As an active vice president of the New Jersey Synod, I've used various methods of conflict resolution across the state, not always to de-escalate an argument, but sometimes to refocus others to know that it's an idea or topic that we are passionately for or against and not each other. As a New Jersey certified coach, a branch of the International Coaching Federation, I'm trained in serving people by providing stimulating questions based on the information the speaker provides that will help encourage self-motivated decisions and accountable action. Not everything I've done has been alone, and there have been bumps along the way, but just as every document is a living document so that changes can be made, I learn from my errors and adjust to the situation at hand for the needs of the people in the time appropriate.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Next is Diana Pasculi.
I want to show my commitment to the board and say that if I was not committed to the time and energy it takes to do this job, I would not be here. I fully respect the amount of time and energy that it takes to engage your full heart and head in a job like this. And so I do believe that I could contribute positively to the committees based on my different backgrounds, and I would be happy to serve any of the committees where there's the greatest need in your eyes. I also feel that it's just time, after many years of being very committed to improving educational systems in my career, I feel that it's time to engage more deeply in our community and would be honored to be selected for the board. And to be real, I would be sacrificing time with my children, which is quite precious at these ages. But I feel at this time in my life that I would rather do that and then be able to look them in the eye and say that I put my hat in the arena, served in the arena, and to poorly paraphrase Teddy Roosevelt even more, that it was for a worthy cause, and that I'd rather do that than be a critic on the side. So as Heather mentioned, I know that it is a very difficult decision this evening, and I appreciate all the applicants and the words spoken tonight and hope you'll consider me. But no matter what, thank you for your service, and no matter what, I hope to help the board and the district towards our mission. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, Carlos Rodriguez.
Would you mind repeating the question, please?
Sure. Serving on the board requires a time commitment that consists of committee meetings, mandatory training, monthly and special evening meetings. Tell us why you are running and how you will contribute to the goals of the board.
I'm running because, well, frankly, I'm quite impressed by my fellow candidates. Their credentials are overwhelming, to put it frankly. But the truth of the matter is that my generation is slated to be worse off than every previous generation before it, by every metric. Despite everyone's credentials, it's time to switch gears. We have to understand that it's not about credentials, it's about whether your goals are matching the lived experience of your constituents. Do they have the impact that you want it to have? And the truth is that I've been out there every day, talking to Lawrence citizens, meeting with them, asking them about the board and what they think of our goals, because they're in line, my policies and your policies. And I want to make sure that it's having the impact that you want it to have. So I would say that, yes, I'm young, but I'm the one who's out there talking to Lawrence residents. I'm the one asking them what they want from their board. And I know what they want. And I've been working on closing the communication gap. I've been working and doing the goals of this board for you, unbeknownst to you. I would ask that you take that into consideration when you decide who will join all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next, Drew Greenspan.
Oh, good. Why am I here? I'm thinking about a story from last week. It was a week of respect at my son's school at LES, and he made a shield, and it says kindness, love, be empathetic, all these words from my third grader, big rainbow at the top. It's wonderful. Why am I here? I'm here for that. I don't know where I'm going to find the time. I mean, there's a big time commitment, and you find the time for things that matter. But you all are part of that process that allowed my son to come home with a shield with those adult words out of a third grader's mouth, these big words, these inclusive words, these loving words. So it's time to be of service now, if I can be of service. And if you choose one of the other many people that are well suited for this, I'll be of service however I can. So that would be my goal. But you find time for things that matter, and this matters.
Thank you. Mark Elliott.
Yes, that's exactly right. You do find time for things that matter. And whether, if I don't get picked for this position, I'll still be here anyway, because I enjoy this stuff, and that's the reason why I wasn't even thinking about ever being on the board, but when this vacancy opened up, I was like, oh, what the heck, it's what I love. This is interesting to me. I want to be here. I'm interested in this stuff. This is interesting to me, and I care about the bigger picture of what you guys are doing. It's important stuff you're doing. I believe in that, and I know I keep saying that over and over again, but what's even more inspirational is when I take my son to school. I go to school functions, I see the teachers, and I see how hard they work. It's inspiration to me when I walk into the high school. These kids are into this high school. They love it here. I didn't have that in high school, even though I'm in the same county when I went to high school. It's a great place, and it's inspirational as a parent, and to watch and just these teachers, the quality of educators you have here are top notch, and that's a lot to do with you guys and what you're doing, and that's the big picture. I have 50 seconds left, so either way. So, but thank you for considering me, and I'll see you either there or there. It doesn't matter. So thank you.
Thank you. Heather Camp.
Do you want to read? I realize I've just kind of jumped in every time without you. I don't need you to read it, if it's okay. Okay. I'm a mother of 2 children, and I'm here because I want the Lawrence Township Public Schools system to succeed and continue to improve and thrive. I've spent years working in higher education and building bridges with the community. I know what it takes for kids to have paths toward success. My work experience directly relates to several of the committees of the board, and my nonprofit, executive, and volunteer experiences have provided me with tools to review and address budgets and personnel issues. I have sat on and participated in several boards and committees that have addressed the social justice issues facing LTPS and connected me with the community. I have walked multiple organizations through strategic planning processes and the implementation of them. In the end, I'm a problem solver who wants to help LTPS think of creative solutions to the many challenges of education. It is no small feat, but you make time for the things you're passionate about, as many people here have indicated. I'm a community builder who will bring passion, expertise, and devotion to the Board of Education. I want to help keep our schools great and our community a desirable place to live for my children and all residents of Lawrence. I want to help Lawrence Township students create a solid foundation towards their future. And I don't require a lot of sleep, so. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Oh, Jeffrey Johnson, sorry. I got caught. No, I was just taking very diligent notes.
Your second question refers to the time commitment required of board members and asks me to talk about why I applied and how I will contribute to the goals of the board. As I mentioned in my introduction, I am not new to the commitments of public service, having participated regularly in monthly zoning board meetings now for 6 years, and sometimes special meetings where it was necessary for the board to make progress before its next regularly scheduled meeting. In fact, it is this love of public service that has motivated me to apply. Concretely, these are ways I will support the board's goals if I am selected for this seat. First, my top priorities will be to listen and learn. I promise to be present, informed, and professional. I will take an interest in the details of every decision that has to be made. I will review materials provided to me. I will seek to understand the legal criteria for a good decision. I will ask questions not to posture or to provoke, but in order to better understand. Second, I will follow the law. I will vote based on the law and what is in the interest of our students and teachers, not based on my personal beliefs. I will follow all mandates expected of me as a board member and support those expected of the board as a whole. I will hold all matters legally discussed in executive session in the strictest confidentiality. Finally, I will be collegial. My first question to you will always be, how can I best help here? How can I contribute my professional expertise or my skills or my time to reaching a decision that is in the best interest of our students? I will respect the final vote of the board, even in cases where my vote is in the minority. Again, thank you for your time and for considering my application.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, that concludes our portion of the interview process. Thank you so much for keeping to the time. For your answers. We will now enter into deliberation in executive session. And it should be approximately 30 minutes. And yes, if you'd like to make a comment.
Since I was handling the clocks, I'm just going to add my 2 cents. I just wanted to...
2 minutes.
It's going to be less than 2 minutes. I just wanted to thank everybody for applying for this position. When I came into the board a couple of years ago, it was in the middle of the year like this, and I was the only candidate, I believe. And I just want to say I'm blown away by everybody, and I don't think we could have a better pool to select from. So it may be a long time that will be in there, so no. You're all amazing, and I hope that you continue to participate in our schools in any way if you are not selected today. It says something about our community and our board to have such a great showing. So That's all I want to say.
Yeah.
That was
Is there
amazing.
anyone else that would want to make any?
No, I applaud. I applaud.
Yes, I agree.
Awesome. Okay.
Thank you.
Definitely could applaud you.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I jumped the gun a little bit. We do have one more opportunity for public input. So at this time, if anybody wants to come to the podium, again, state your name, your address, and keeping it to 3 minutes. My timer.
I won't start till you get there.
My name is Jim Cleek, 7 East Darrell Lane. I just wanted to say how impressed I am, seconding your motion, and thank all the people who, it's a shame you can't, I feel it's like you must feel like it's a shame you can't get them all, because anybody here would be an addition in different ways. For example, as Joyce said, and others too, I think about the need for more diversity in the staff, but on the other hand, getting teachers, period, without diversification is such a challenge now. And you look at how the few people are going into education. They say in the colleges compared to years past is a disturbing trend, and I don't know what the answer is to that, but I hope there's very different answers, I'm sure, but I hope there's progress made in that respect. Every time we have, I listened to the forum the other night, every time we have a forum, why the challengers talk about how the system has deteriorated, and I think if it has, there's all kind of reasons for that. One is the diversity of the population, and the English second language and all is so much greater than it was back, when a lot of people here graduated, and people saying that. But I did look the other night at supposed ratings of the districts, and I never did that before, and I don't know who decides them, but it was shocking, where we were, and I wonder about what the administration and your board's feelings are about that, and how I'm sure that's part of the strategic plan, but so that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. This clock is really working. Are there any other public input? Okay. Seeing none, we will now enter into executive session, and we should be approximately 30 minutes.
And any of the people that have spoken tonight, we put some water up there. I'm sure your whistle needs a little water there, so please help yourselves.
Ms. Farmer,
If I can
do
make
some ministerial things, just a couple things, that we're going in for approximately 30 minutes, and that no action will be taken in executive session.
That's right.
And the purpose of the executive session is number 1 on the agenda under executive session, where it says matters of personal confidentiality rights, including but not limited to staff, student discipline matters, but in this case specifically, not staff and students, but rather candidate confidentiality. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Good. Do we need to call the roll?
You need a motion and a second?
We can have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, there's a motion made by Ms. Evans, seconded by Ms. Bose, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, ready for the roll?
Yes, please.
All
Call the
right.
roll.
Ms. Bose?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Groger?
Yes.
Dr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Pluta?
Yes.
Ms. Santos?
Yes.
Ms. Farmer?
Yes.
You're in executive session as of 8:17.
Thank you.
I brought cash, but if you do the electronic, I don't have to lose my mullahs.
Okay. Thank you, thank you.
Because then it gets out, and then you got somebody threatening with a lawsuit.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
So forgive me.
No, thank you. Never that. Okay.
Campaign, what am I trying to say? The site that we use to collect the donations, donor box, it lists, so I can.
So we're back in session?
Okay, we are back in session.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the floor for a nomination?
Would you like me to go over
I'm sorry,
briefly
the
how
rules.
to do it?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so the following is part of our board policies. It's a bylaw 143 on how we do this. So that helps to inform our process. What we're going to do is the board president will open up the floor for nominations, and one of the board members will nominate a candidate, and then that candidate needs a second. If the candidate receives the second, then we have a nomination. And then we'll continue with that until all the nominations are made. And so the second person, so another board member may say, I nominate this person. And then we'll ask for a second. If the second is provided, then we have a full nomination. After we have all the nominations out, however many there are, we'll go back at that point and we will vote on the persons who were nominated. If a candidate receives 5 votes, then that candidate, upon receiving the 5 votes, is then appointed at that point in time. So the board has a governing body right now of 8 members. And so 5 makes up the majority. It's not the majority of the persons present, but the majority of the board. So we need 5 votes to install a new member. So it could be that the first vote that we take, that candidate doesn't receive 5 votes, and so when we'll vote on the next candidate, if that candidate does receive 5 votes, then that candidate will be the person installed. If the first person nominated receives 5 votes, then we will not vote on the other candidates after that, because the board will have acted as a governing body with the majority nominating on the nomination. They will have taken action and appointed that member with 5 votes. Does that make sense to you? Did I explain it okay for everybody?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Eldridge.
So each board member will simply vote yes for the person that they wish to have appointed. And with that, it's back in your hands for nominations.
Okay.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. If there's a nomination on the floor?
Yes, I would like to nominate Mr. Arundel Clark as a board member.
Is there a second?
Second?
Okay. Are there any other nominations on the floor?
Yes, I would like to nominate Mark Elliott.
Is there a second? Okay. Seeing none. Are there any other nominations on the floor?
Yes, I would like to nominate Carlos Raziel Rodriguez.
Is there a second? Seeing none. Are there any other nominations on the floor? Seeing none, all nominations are closed. Mr. Eldridge, if you could take the roll.
Ms. Bowes, this is the nomination for Arundel Clark. It was made by Ms. Bowes and seconded by Ms. Groger, and this is the roll call. Ms. Bowes.
Yes.
Ms. Evans.
Yes.
Ms. Groger.
Yes.
Dr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Pluta.
No.
Ms. Santos.
Yes.
Ms. Farmer.
Yes.
The motion carried.
Okay. With receiving how many votes? That was 6. Congratulations, Mr. Clark. Welcome to the board.
And with that said, I was so impressed by what everyone had to say tonight. we have to find ways to involve you, connect with you, and have you help us become even better. So I really appreciate the thought that went into the answers, the look at our own strategic plan, and one of my new aspirations is to figure out how to best use all of you to help us become even better. So thank you so much.
Yes.
Yes.
And I echo those sentiments also. You were all outstanding. We gained so much knowledge from your answers, and like Dr. Kasun said, we look forward to engaging you in our strategic process and just overall in the community. You are outstanding members of our community, and thank you for coming tonight to be a part of this process. Thank you. Okay, and with that, we are now going to continue with the agenda. We have some new business to address.
Okay, new business that is on the agenda for tonight, appointment of new Board of Ed member. We have motions to approve payments and a change order involving paving and painting. With that, I'd like to move NB1 through NB3.
So NB1 being the appointment of the new board member?
Correct.
Understood. So then we have NB1, 2, and 3. Ms. Groger made it, seconded by?
Second?
Ms. Bose?
Yes.
That is,
Ready?
Ms. Bose, yes. If you could call the roll, please.
Ms. Bose?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Grover?
Yes.
Dr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Pluta?
Yes.
Ms. Santos?
Yes.
Ms. Farmer?
Yes,
Motions have been approved.
thank you. And with that, if we could have a motion for an adjournment
So, motion for adjournment.
and a second?
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor? Thank you so much to the board for your hard work this evening. Really appreciate